No.
Police think they are helping Chris Watts find his missing wife and 2 children. But what starts to unravel will show a much sinister side to the seemingly picturesque husband. Sha-Nan Catherine Utsusek was 26 when she met Christopher Watts in 2010 in their home state of North Carolina. The couple soon married on November 3, 2012 and decided to settle down in Frederick, Colorado, which they had previously visited on a trip. The small town had only a population of 8,709 and they were able to purchase a picturesque 5-bedroom house. They welcomed daughter Bella Watts in December 2013 and Celeste Cece Watts in July 2015. 1 month prior to Cece's birth, in June 2015 the family filed for bankruptcy after they struggled to keep up with mortgage payments, car payments, student loans, medical bills and credit card debt. It is reported that they owed $70,000 not including their mortgage. Chris was working an oil field operator at Anadarko for 6 months at the time they filed, and Sha-Nan worked for the Children's Hospital call center, where she answered phones. After the birth of their second child, Sha-Nan had left her job at the hospital and began selling a product called Thrive for a multi-level marketing company called Lavelle. She was able to work from home, look after her 2 daughters and market her products online. This new job increased her social media presence and she was seen posting more and more.
Amazing. And I'm going to go live when Chris gets here because he'll kill me if I tried these without him. But look. 2 cinnamon rolls and 2 cake batter or whatever they decided to call it. The Pro Bars. I got 2 of each flavor. I am so excited. Chris should be here any minute.
On June 11, 2018, Sha-Nan records a video her surprising Chris with the news she is pregnant with their 3rd child. They would name this unborn child, Nico.
I like that shirt. Pink means...
That's just the test.
I know. It just says the pink is going to be girls.
I don't know. Just the test.
That's all.
Despite looking happy in his frequent appearances in Sha-Nan's videos, Chris's co-workers saw him becoming more and more unhappy with his life. He was losing his temper over small things. He also went out for more after-work drinks, in which seemed like an attempt to avoid going home, often wanting to stay out much later than his other co-workers. On June 14, Sha-Nan posts a video of 4-year-old Bella singing how she loves her dad.
My daddy is a hero.
The same day Chris creates a new contact in his phone, Nicole Kessinger. Chris reportedly told Nicole that he was married with kids but he was separating from his wife. Sha-Nan's Facebook posts depicted otherwise. While Chris was starting his affair with Nicole, Sha-Nan writes him a tribute on Facebook for Father's Day. On the 27th, Sha-Nan leaves on a 5-week vacation, taking her 2 daughters with her, while her husband stays at home and works. Sha-Nan is unaware that her husband is beginning an affair that will ultimately end her and her daughters' lives. Sha-Nan has been gone less than a week when Nicole goes to the Watts family home for the first time. She later tells police he invited her over to set up his diet and weight loss/exercise goals. She alleges he cooked them some lunch which they ate and then she left. Chris says he woke up on July 4 at Nicole's house to several missed calls from his wife. Slightly panicked, Chris tells Nicole he needs to go home in case she calls again. This upsets Nicole because she is coming to the realization that she will always be the other woman and his wife comes first. The 2 don't speak for several days after this incident, but their phone records show a phone call took place between them on the 7th. Several days later the tension in Chris and Sha-Nan's marriage starts to show. Sha-Nan asking Chris if he was okay because he seemed distant and says she wished her husband wanted to talk to her. Chris brushed it off, says he was fine and had been stressed out at work. With Sha-Nan still away with the children, Chris and Nicole continue their relationship. They go out on public dates to a car museum and visit the Great Sand Dunes National Park, spending the night at a nearby campground. Chris is due to leave and reunite with his family on their vacation, but before doing so he gives Nicole a love letter. There seems to be more tension in the marriage, which was revealed when Shannon forwarded texts between the couple to a friend. A few days into their trip together, Sha-Nan and Chris exchange heated text messages, where Sha-Nan is angry that Chris did not stand up for her when his parents exposed their daughter Cece to nuts, when she is allergic to them. On the same day, Nicole's cell phone data reveals she is back home in Colorado looking up wedding dresses for over 2 hours. The preceding day, Sha-Nan's text messages to her friends detailing their trouble vamps up. Sha-Nan has to leave on a business trip, but believes the couple is in a good place. With his wife gone, Chris tells Sha-Nan he is going to a Colorado Rockies game with his co-workers and hires a babysitter to look after his 2 children. However, he is really taking Nicole to a sports bar in Erie, Colorado. Sha-Nan arrives home from her business trip around 2 a.m. on August 13. Later in the day around 12:30, Chris is texting their realtor about their current home and what they are looking for in a new one. At one point the realtor asks why Shannon isn't responding to the messages and Chris says she hasn't been around all day. It's very odd. When asked if he had checked with her friends and filed a report, he replies, "I've done it all. Police are handling it now. Send prayers please." At 1:40 p.m. Shannon's friend Nicole Atkinson reports her missing after failing to contact her. She drove to her house and saw her car was still there and got in contact with Chris asking where she was.
Hi.
You're Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. So what's going on?
So my friend, we were out of town for a business trip this weekend.
Right.
And I dropped her off at 2 o'clock this morning. She's 15 weeks pregnant. She wasn't feeling well. And she had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9. And I told her to let me know if she needed me to take her. She's got 2 little girls. And she was very distraught over the weekend, wasn't eating normally or drinking. And we kept trying to force it on her because she's pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband and her supposedly are separating, but she didn't know this. She thought they were just having issues. He disclosed that to me today.
Okay.
Because I called him and I was like, have you talked or heard from Shanann since she left for work this morning? Because I can't get a hold of her. I've called, I've texted. Her car's in the garage. Her shoes she wears every single day are by the front door.
After looking through the house, a neighbor invites Chris and the police officer to his house next door to review the surveillance footage. The footage contradicts Chris's story that his wife and kids left willingly while he was at work.
Nothing on there.
You just have to
My
back
camera.
the truck up to the garage.
Lay down.
Loaded my stuff up in my coolers, my water jugs, my book bag, my computers, some of the tools that I had from the toolbox. I knew I was going to have to do some pumping unit rubbers today.
And this is him at 517.
I usually park out there on the side. I just want to get everything back in. Be easier to lugging everything out there, all the tools that I had to bring in.
He's not acting right at all.
No.
He's never fidgety. He's never rocking back and forth. And if you look, he never loads his stuff in and out of the garage ever.
Right.
Full out screaming at each other at the top of their lungs, and he gets crazy.
Does he? And that's pretty recently.
Yeah. And if he loads his stuff, he normally just walks back and forth because I get him on camera.
What does he usually load up?
All he usually has is a lunch box and a book bag, looks like a computer, and usually a water jug. That's it. But the fact that he was in here and explaining to it over and over and over,
Well, odd.
but he doesn't look worried. He looks like he's trying to cover his tracks.
August 14, 2018. In the afternoon, Chris appears on Denver 7 to talk about his wife and daughter's disappearance.
What's going on right now around your house?
Right now, it's you got K9 units, the sheriff's department. Everybody's like they're doing their best right now to figure out like if they can get a scent, see where they went. If they went on foot, they went in a car, or they went somewhere. Like she came home from the airport 2 a.m. and I left around 5:15. She was still here, and like about 12:10 in that afternoon, her friend Nicole showed up at the door. Like I had texted Shanann a few times that day, called her, say, but she never got back to me. But she wasn't getting back to any of her people as well, and that's what really concerned a lot of people. Is like if she's not getting back to her, like if she doesn't get back to me, that's fine. Like she gets busy during the day, but she didn't get back to her people, which was very concerning. And Nicole called me when she was at the door, and that's when I came home. And then walked in the house and nothing was vanished. Nothing was here. I mean, she wasn't here. The kids weren't here. Nobody was here.
Chris fails a lie detector test and his lies start to unravel. The police discover he has a mistress and he finally breaks down and confesses to strangling his wife and burying her in a shallow grave at an oil site. At the time, he refused to take responsibility for the deaths of his daughters, saying Shannon smothered them. He is arrested on suspicion of 3 first-degree murder charges and 3 charges of tampering with a deceased human body. The next day police go to the oil site and discover the shallow grave Chris described, with Shannann's body inside. The bodies of the girls are found in the 2 oil tanks. Chris Watts pleads guilty to all 9 counts against him. Chris is sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences, without the possibility of parole.
I've been a judicial officer now for starting my 17th year, and I could objectively say that this is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen. And nothing less than a maximum sentence would be appropriate.
3 months into his life sentence, Chris speaks to investigators for a final time, finally detailing how he killed not only his wife and unborn child but also his 2 daughters, which he previously denied. Sha Nan arrives home from her business trip around 2 a.m. on August 13th. Later that morning, Chris and Sha Nan get into an argument when he wakes up for work. He told investigators his wife accused him of cheating. He snapped and then he strangled her to death. According to Chris, the noise of the fight wakes Bella up, and she enters the bedroom and asks, "What's wrong with mommy?" Chris then wraps his wife's body up in a sheet, while Bella watches. He takes her body downstairs and out to his truck. His neighbor's surveillance camera picks up Chris loading up his work truck and leaving the residence at 5:27 a.m. Bella and Cece sat on the bench seat of his truck as he drove to his workplace. He dumped Shannon's body at an oil site. Afterwards he smothers his daughters with a blanket before putting their bodies into 2 separate oil tanks.
Go. Ooh, ooh. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Ooh, ooh. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Ooh, ooh. Huh? I see a picture. Say cheese. Aw, say here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Ooh, ooh.